Last time on our Invader Zim Fan Fiction, we established our main OC character, Liz, and we found out that she was raised by wolves for 5 years of her life. She has met Zim, and she knows that Zim is an alien, and Dib knows that she knows, and he's upset about that, of course. And then she went off to chase a squirrel, and that's where we left off. So now a few things before we get started on the reading of chapter 2. Since our last installment, I sort of changed up Liz's dialogue so that, because she's feral, so she doesn't speak English that well, so her dialogue's gonna be a bit more caveman-like, if you know what I mean. So instead of, saying, Zim, what are you talking about? She'll be more like, what's Zim talking about? And stuff like that. Also, check it out, I'm wearing my Zim t-shirt. Woohoo! I feel like there's something else that I need to say, but I'm forgetting. I guess I'll start reading, and then if it comes to mind, I'll tell you. So, chapter 2. Erkin's best friend. I walked into the house of my foster parents, two people that pretty much only took me in for the government money and attention from the news. They're not the worst, though. They at least don't care if I act like a wolf, so long as I don't start howling or barking in the house. I've definitely lived with worse families since I was 5. One family locked me in a cage, treated me like a worthless mutt. Another family resented any sort of feral behaviors that I would show. Even if I started sniffing the air, they'd hit me with a paddle. I trotted in the house and dropped the dead squirrel at my foster parents' feet by the couch. Ugh, Elizabeth, I told you, no dead animals in the house. My foster mom moved away from the squirrel and me. It was a fair enough rule, but difficult to remember to follow it. I grabbed the squirrel again and carried it to the backyard and ate it for dinner. Once I was finished with my meal, I went back inside and upstairs to my room. Every wall of my room was covered with posters and pictures of wolf and forest imagery. I opened my window, stuck my head out, and started sniffing the air. I inhaled scents of cars and people and dogs and cats and... What's that? It's a smell that was so familiar to me, yet so foreign. I had to investigate it, so I went downstairs and out the front door. On all fours, I sniffed along the sidewalk until I came across a greenhouse only 3 houses away from mine. Lost my place. The 3 houses away from mine where the scent was strongest. I sniffed the path until I was in front of the door, and I sniffed the door itself. Finally, the smell registered in my brain. Ship fuel. But it wasn't the kind used on Earth. It was otherworldly. This was Zim's house. I sat back on my legs, threw my head back, and began howling at the top of my lungs. I howled and howled, despite people opening their doors and staring at me. I howled until Zim's door opened to reveal Zim still wearing his wig and lenses. What is the meaning of this? I demand to know. I finally lowered my head and stopped howling. Zim, I found you. I told you, Earth Monster, I do not require your assistance. I'm not here for that. We neighbors. We are? Mm-hmm. I nodded and pointed to my house down the street. They're my house. I picked up scent of ship fuel and engine fuel, and followed here. Your smelly powers are proving to be impressive, human wolf child. However, I am extremely busy and ask that you please leave my property before I set my nose on you. I looked around at the gnomes and then back up at Zim. As you wish, green sir. I turned and left the premises. A couple of weeks later, I was sitting at my usual spot by the lunch table across from Dib and Gabs. Sorry. Dib was glaring at Zim from across the room as some blonde girl was talking about how Zim didn't have any friends. After a while, Zim approached our table and started to address me. Human wolf child, I ask that you would accept the honor of fulfilling the role of my so-called friend. Accept. Before I could answer, Dib interrupted. Don't do it, Liz. He's just using you. You're better than this. Silence, stink human, Zim shouted at Dib. Now, Dib, remember much trouble you and I have make friends. Gee, I wonder why, Gaz stated sarcastically. Even if he alien, I think he deserved companionship. I looked back up at Zim. I accept. What? Dib was in disbelief. Excellent, now come with me. I dropped from the table and followed Zim to the table with the blonde girl. I put my front paws up on the table and looked up at the girl. I'd like you all to meet Liz. She's my new friend, not yours, mine. Get lost, losers, the girl said. Very well, but know that I am getting lost with my best friend. Zim crossed his arms and stared at the others before grabbing me by the collar and dragging me outside for recess. We played fetch with a stick all during recess. When I caught him a rat and laid it at his feet, he only winced for a moment before grinning and patting my head. The couple of times I've ever brought Dib a dead rodent, he only kicked it away or picked it up with a doggy bag and threw it in the trash. Same thing with my foster parents. After recess, we went inside for arts and crafts time. Zim drew a sketch of him and me with our names and the word friends underneath. I made a picture of Zim and the wolf that I see myself as walking together. We both shared our drawings with the other students who just looked on judgmentally. At the end of the days, I walked Zim all the way home up to his front door. Okay, I'm going to try to get these lines in one take. Okay. I want to congratulate you, Liz, on a job well done. You've been a most convincing friend, but now that the world seems satisfied with my knack for companionship, I won't be requiring your services any longer. Our mission together is complete. Good job, soldier. Be gone with you. I've been practicing that for like hours. Alright. I realized what he had done. I had been used for a sucker to cover up his alien disguise. I shouldn't have cared, but I did. I really thought we were friends and that he had an interest in me. But now I see it was all a ruse. I lowered my head and looked up at Zim with big eyes. Zim tried to resist the eyes, but like many before him, he failed. Oh, fine. I suppose your service can be extended, but only because it would benefit you to be alongside me. I jumped on Zim and started licking his face with glee. Ah, disgusting. Get off me, filthy human, get off. I backed away from my green companion. No more of that, though, got it? Zim said as he wiped the saliva off his face. I nodded with my tongue out. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work, so we will continue this friendship tomorrow. Zim slammed the door in my face, and I sat there for a moment before turning around and making my way to the membrane house. When I reached the property, I sat in front of the door and started howling the way I always announce myself to Dib's house. I howl until Dib opened the door to let me in. "Liz, you're just in time for mysterious mysteries. Come on in." I excitedly ran inside and jumped up on the couch next to the gaming gas. Dib sat on the other side of me, and I curled up on the middle cushion with half of my face buried in my wrist. While we were watching, Dib scratched at my head and my neck. Oh, I love how I'm treated like a family dog here. End chapter. Okie dokie. Adjust. Whatever, close enough. So there's that, the end of chapter 2. I hope y'all are enjoying the story and the series and whatever you want to call it. Let me know if you have any questions about the story, or if I should be maybe clearing something up or anything up about the story. As you all know, I'm not revealing the name of the story or a link to the story until it's the last chapter of the story, which will be a lot later. I haven't finished the story yet, so I don't know the exact number of chapters I'm going to have, but I'm like pretty far along in it, and this chapter that I just read is so far the absolute shortest chapter. Most of them are like between 4 and 6 pages, and this one was like 3.5 pages, according to page count. Yeah, for most of these, it'll be just like this. I think that's all I really have to say. Continue coming by and listening to me butcher my own words, because I'm not the best at oral words. I'm better at the written word, so please forgive me. I don't think there's anything else, so have a nice day, and we'll see you next time.